Hi and Assalamualaikum to our panel, Encik Muhammad Ramdan Muhammad Arshad and Encik Muhammad Ibrahim Hai. Our title of research project is Cyberbullying in UiTM Seremban 3, a study of university student belief that affect the behaviour toward this phenomenon. This research project has been supervised by Ms. Januati binti Muhammad Jodi. This research project also have been prepared by me, Aimina Bila binti Yusuf, as you can see my picture at the left side. And at the right side is my partner Non Najhatul Farina binti Muhammad Azwiyar. So let's proceed with our first contents. Okay, I will start with research background. Firstly, cyberbullying can be categorized by different forms, which is flaming, harassment, denigration, impersonation, authenticity, escalation, and also cyberstalking. Cyberbullying also can be categorized as intentional action in online, where the bully will be calling by inappropriate name, threat, spreading rumors, sharing another person's private information, and also social isolation. Cyberbullying is when the bully doesn't need to meet each other and they can just bully the victim anytime and anywhere they like. This is actually different from the traditional bullying, where the traditional bullying is more to face-to-face approach and sometimes it will hurt the victim physically. Next, among countries in Southeast Asia, Malaysia is one of the countries that have high usage of internet. The high usage of internet actually will lead the people to misuse the internet, especially to cyberbullying. Cyberbullying is spreading faster rather than traditional bullying, as cyberbullying is more subtle and covert. 28% from 6,953 Malaysian young people have been a victim of cyberbullying. This actually have been proved by UNICEF survey, which 43% of them experienced by online games, private messaging, and social media applications such as by using Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, YouTube, and also Twitter. Okay, next I will explain about problem statement in our research study. Firstly, is 3 out of 10 Malaysian youngsters are victims of cyberbullying and 63% of Malaysia does not know the availability of cyberbullying helpline services, which is Cybersecurity Malaysia or known as Cyber 999. Secondly, a research that conducted by UiTM, 53.3% of the youngsters in Malaysia have high propensity to being a cyberbully rather than being a victim, and 36% of the youngsters have aggressive online behavior such as using foul language in social media. This actually can be seen in social media trends nowadays where they just write freely anything they would like and they want, even though there is not inappropriate attitude to do in social media. Next is a research conducted in UTHM. 66% of students reported to being a victim of cyberbullying, and most of them are experienced for emotional changes and become overly sensitive to the surroundings. Research of cyberbullying at schools are well documented compared to cyberbullying of undergraduate. This is because people might see the cyberbullying does not give big impact to the undergraduate where they can endure it by university culture, but in fact, undergraduate also suffer from the cyberbullying. Next is a survey that have been conducted by SBG. 65% of internet users confess that they receive pornographic message or scolded when playing online game, and 25% become victim for sexual harassment in social media. Lastly, cyberbullying can affect victims emotionally, and 44.2% of them likely to suffer with depression, anxiety, and stress.
Okay, there are 3 research objectives in our study. Basically, the research objective is the reflection from research question. We use the same research objective and research question to illustrate the relationship between independent variable and dependent variable. For conceptual framework, the theory of present action developed by Constant and others has been adapted and adopted. In this study, independent variable consists of 4 aspects, which are social demographic, belief and attitude, perceived necessity and home climax, behavioral attention. For dependent variable, student behavior towards cyberbullying. Okay, for hypothesis testing, we use H null and H alternative for all variables. We can see the example here, independent variable for belief and attitude. The hypothesis for H null, there is no significant relationship between belief and attitude with student behavior towards cyberbullying, while H alternative state that there is significant relationship between belief and attitude with student behavior towards cyberbullying.
Okay, so next I will explain about the research method that we use in our research project. Firstly is for research design. According to Kuma 1999, research design can be defined as a procedural plan that applied by the researcher to explain the question objectively, accurately, economically, and with validity. So the researcher used correlational design where independent variables are affected to the dependent variable. In this study, the researcher applied for quantitative approach by providing questionnaire to the respondents. Next is unit analysis. So the researcher focused on the individual, which is final year degree students of UiTM Seremban 3 to figure out the students' behavior towards cyberbullying. Next is sample size. So the data of the populations that we got from HEA among final year degree students in 3 faculties, which is FS-PVP, FSKM, and FSR, is 1,274 students. So according to Craigie and Morgan table 1970, the sample size need to be 247 respondents. So for the sample size, the researcher have been collected as 363 respondents. So next, for the sampling technique, the researcher used cluster sampling technique that is fall under probability sampling, and it can collect data by distributing the data into small and more effective group, which is we just focus on semester 5 and semester 6 only.
Data measurement for independent and dependent variable. The respondent need to answer the questionnaire by write all items based on 5 points of Likert scale, which are strongly disagree 1, disagree 2, neutral 3, agree 4, and strongly agree 5. Data collection. Start with section A, demographic profile, section B, belief and attitude, section C, perceived university and home climate, section D, behavioral attention, section E, student behavior towards cyberbullying. For data analysis, descriptive technique is used to know about the demographic profile of respondent. Relationship between independent and dependent variables are measured by correlation analysis. Findings for social demographic. Based on the table, the most respondent is female with 282 respondents. Next, the majority of respondents are 22 years old and above with 325 respondents, while the remaining is respondent from 21 years old and below. Then the faculty with high respondent come from Faculty of Administrative Science and Policy Studies (FSPP) with 209 respondents. Further, the greatest number of students in understanding the cyberbullying phenomenon is 355 respondents. In addition, respondents that do not personally experience or know someone who has been a victim of cyberbullying stayed higher with 194 respondents. Next, for the question of personally experience or know someone who has been a bully of cyberbullying, the majority said no with 216 respondents. The most time spent on gadget is 5 and more hours with 208 respondents. Last but not least, highest number of not being an owner of any more social media account is 209 respondents.
Okay, so next for hypothesis testing, as you can see in the table here, all of the objectives have been tested by using the person correlation analysis. For the first objective, which is to identify the relationship between belief and attitudes and student behavior towards cyberbullying. The result shows that there is significant and moderate relationship between belief and attitudes and student behavior towards cyberbullying, where R value is 0.571 and P value is 0.000 less than 0.05. The hypothesis is H1 are accepted and rejected by H0. So for the second objective is to determine the relationship between perceived university and home climate and student behavior towards cyberbullying. The result shows that there is significant and negligible relationship between perceived university and home climates and student behavior towards cyberbullying, where R value is 0.110 and P value is 0.037. The hypothesis is same, which is H2 are accepted and rejected by H0. So for the third objective, which is to determine the relationship between behavioral intentions and student behaviors towards cyberbullying, the result shows that there is significant and moderate relationship between behavioral intention and student behavior towards cyberbullying, where R value is 0.577 and P value is 0.000 less than 0.05. The hypothesis is also same with the others in objective 1 and objective 2, which is H3 are accepted and rejected H not. Okay, next for the limitations, the researcher found out that 3 limitations during the process in completing this research project. For the first limitation is limited sample. Researchers only focus to the final year degree students, which is in semester 5 and also semester 6. The results might be different if the study involves all UiTM 3 students, which is from semester 1 until final semester, since this study is to figure out the student behavior towards cyberbullying. This is because each of the students have their own behavior and their own intention to carry out, whether it will lead to the cyberbullying or prevent the cyberbullying. The second limitation, which is quantitative study, the quantitative study that have been used by the researcher actually not in-depth in collecting the data. This is because by the questionnaire that have been distributed to the respondents is only designed with closed-end questions, and this will make the respondents limit to their responses or opinions. So for the last limitation is limitation that influence student behavior towards cyberbullying. Okay, so the factor that influence student behavior towards cyberbullying are not fully realized on what mentioned in this study, which is belief and attitude, perceived university and home climates, and behavioral intention, while there also the other influence that will affect on that, such as social influence, cyberbullying knowledge, and also risk perceptions.
For the recommendation, the first one, improve the parenting style. Parents need to be more active to involve on the student online activity. Promoting self-esteem and confidence. Be a great support system. The second one, increase internet supervision among students in the university, such as build the proactive team to supervise, decline the access of websites that not related to education purposes. The third one, carry out awareness campaign and combating this cyberbullying. Spread awareness in university official website, held public talks, distributing brochure or poster. The fourth one, raising the studies regarding the cyberbullying issue in the country. This is because from the studies, we can give a better view on how the country react to cyberbullying, and we can know what kind of tool that can be used to combat this issue. For the conclusion, main discussion of this study is about the relationship between the aspects that have been stated inside the conceptual framework, which are belief and attitude, perceived university and home climax, as well as behavioral attention towards student behavior about this cyberbullying phenomenon. There was a significant and positive relationship between the three aspects with student behavior towards cyberbullying. The researchers succeeded to get the active involvement from the final year degree students from 3 faculties. However, there are also some limitations that researchers need to went through to be able to produce the complete research study. Hopefully, this study can be an example for other researchers to gain new perspective or make any reference regard to this topic.